now in 2023, I don't know how things work now in terms of like when it comes to buying properties and whatnot, but you do hear a lot of people say owning properties without spending or putting a deposit down and whatnot. I don't know.
That's not as popular. So
right.
Previously, before the crash, you had self-cert mortgages, which was basically I could say, oh, I earned this. Here's a letter, and yeah, I earned this. And banks are like, okay. It was easy to get mortgages before. Banks would give 120% mortgages in some cases. You don't even need that extra 20%. With the 120, they were just lending money. Obviously, now it's a bit more different. There are certain ways that you can get a mortgage without a deposit. I think there's one where they just put a charge on your parents' house, maybe, depending on how much equity they have in their house.
Madness.
Wait, hold on. One sec.
Put my mum under it.
That's not something that's everyone in the industry does that. That's like specific lenders will be willing to do that, but that's when your credit can't afford to be bad. So if you can't expect, oh, I've got terrible credit and I'm trying to get this charge put on my mum's house and no deposit and XYZ.
When you're saying charge, because obviously that sounds mad. So are you talking about like they charge?
So the word charge, a mortgage is a security on a property. So if you buy a house and you've got a mortgage on it, that's a first charge. Okay, so that's the first charge. You can then get another lender to give you more money on that house, and that will be a second charge. That's basically what the word charge is.
2 monthly payments?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So a charge is basically saying, we're going to put this on your mum's house. If you mess up, we've got
your mum's
some
house.
Security, basically. That's basically.
Yeah.
So, if someone was going to rent it, like, you need a guarantor.
Oh, right.
It's not the same because there are guarantor mortgages, which is something slightly different, but putting a charge on it is basically saying, oh, we've got something if in case you don't.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out. So then, if I was being clever then, let's say I owned a business or ran a shop and I knew, for example, the shop was bringing in a certain amount, I can afford the lease or whatever the mortgage is, it's cool. Could I do the same thing with that shop with multiple people in order to create?
Do what? What's the
so that have a charge? Could I do the same thing, like put a charge to the actual shop itself?
Yeah.
And then obviously from doing
that's
that,
commercial lending.
So commercial.
That's not a residence anymore. That's not a buy to let. That's a shop. So that's a commercial. Which commercial? That's normal. You raise money off your business and do X, Y, Z. Some people start up another business or whatever it may be. That's just commercial lending. That's just business, how it works.
So commercial lending. So it seems like commercial lending's got a little bit more leeway, more flexibility to kind of because essentially you're opening it for business purposes.
Yeah, you open it to make money out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you advise somebody that wants to get on a property ladder for investment, but also to actually live in? So I mean, they want to have a house to own themselves, but they also want to have a house to make money off as well. What would you kind of advise them?
Was in two separate,
yeah. How would it work? Would you say, okay, make sure your first house is like a buy to let, or would you go down the path of own your first home, live in it, and then maybe, I don't know, how does it work with that? What would you advise in terms of making profit? Because I feel like a lot of people buy houses based on the fact that it's going to be worth this 20, 30, 40 years later. Get to 20, 30, 40 years later, they're 60 something years old now, and it's like, it is worth that, but the process of getting it to that actual level of getting my money or selling a house is a whole different thing. For those people that probably would want to have that return a bit more earlier, what would you reckon that's the best advice on starting?
So when it comes to property, you normally have two separate sides. You've got appreciation, so that's the value of the house going up. Then you've got return in terms of, if I've got a house, I've got a buy-to-let house, the mortgage is costing me £100 a month, but the rental I receive is £500 a month. That's your rental yield. So those are two different things in terms of, you might go somewhere where you get a high return each month, but the value of the property isn't going to move up as fast as it would in London.
Okay.
Whereas in London, you might have to have a high mortgage payment, and your monthly rental might be £100 more, so you're making a far lower yield. So that's what someone needs to think about. Are you looking for a quick return each month, or are you looking for the property to go up in value and receive money that way? Yeah. In
So
terms
then-
of the whole switch over,
yeah.
if you have a residential, you really want to get you're either going to need savings or you're going to hope that your property increases in value so your equity is around the 25% margin. You want your equity to be around 20 to 25%.
Mm.
And remember, with buy-to-lets, how much your lent isn't based on your income. It's based on how much rental will that property achieve.
Oh.
So if a property achieves 1,200, you could get 240. But if a property gets 2,000, it might get 300 plus. So it's based on how
Okay.
much it rents for.
So it's not actually based upon what you like.
What you get.
What you get.
It's a more detailed. The things I'm saying are more like the general.
General, yeah.
But you have things where you can top slice. So if the rental isn't enough,
Mm.
they'll factor in your income. At the minute, I would say the buy-to-let market is in a situation because with the rate changes, basically, if you was getting 300k from your rental last year and we done the remortgage and we was able to get it to 75%, this year that 1,200 isn't giving you that same amount you was getting before. So if it's time to remortgage, you're short.
Okay, I see.
So that's what's since the rates went through their mad episode. That's the situation we found ourselves in. So now it's like we're looking at portfolio landlords. We're looking at the whole portfolio and like we might have to sell this one or we might have to just do a product transfer on this one. Like we're really having to plan around this situation that we're in.
Do you feel like I don't know if you've travelled a lot, but do you feel like London itself is just tough in general when it comes to just
Yeah, London's a shake.
Yeah, you can feel it though. You know when you've gone on holiday or you've gone somewhere and then you get to King's Cross and then everything is just fast and tense.
yeah.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
Properties, I think we're all from similar backgrounds, so you're probably seeing your friends moving a bit further out. Like very rarely are people buying houses where they grew up.
Yeah.
And that just shows you what kind of situation we're in at the minute.
Even with the right, I know with the right to buy it.
Yeah,
That-
right to buy for
yeah.
me. If I was offered that, I'm doing it.
Okay, so you reckon even till today in 2023, you're still
I'm doing it. I'm potentially getting around £116,000 discount on a house in London. If I can do it, I'm doing it.
And then with that, would you need to have, let's just say, for example, what salary would you need to have if, say the yard's worth 700, over 700,000 in London?
A council house. Remember, these are on council houses.
Yeah, so probably, yeah, council house. Let's say 4-bedroom flat.
Okay.
Probably worth more, but let's just say roughly around about that and above. But you were earning like, say, 50k.
Not going to work. But it's not just one person.
Okay, so you would have to
If
have...
we was a family, I'm taking your income. I'm taking your income and my income.
But we all have to be in a tenancy, right?
No, okay. So you don't actually all have to be on the tenancy. You just have to have lived in the property for the past 12 months and it's your main residence.
Oh,
So if your family and have lived in
okay.
the property for 12 months is your main residence, you can be on the application.
And then my salary would have to match the person that the first would it have to match
It's
the
not about matching.
Just how
Okay.
much
It's
it
about
was
whatever
together.
it is.
all it
We
together.
just need enough to. But remember, if I'm taking your salary, that now means I'm taking everything bad that you come with too. You got a car on finance, I got to factor that in. You
Right,
got credit
okay.
cards, your credit situation, everything. You can't just take someone's salary and take nothing else. You take them as a whole.
The whole, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was under the illusion that the tenancy thing had to be on. If you weren't on the tenancy, then
I thought that was
okay, that's good news then. Because I feel like there's a lot of people that were going through that process. Because you know sometimes it may be mum's council house and no one's there, or
Yeah.
it might be his girlfriends, and then it hasn't really. They both want to buy, but again, he's not on a tenancy, and they're saying I think to apply for that and do that, it's all like a year process or whatever. They try and extend it.
It's not a year. Well, it's meant to be. There's loads of different phases. So saying that you want to do it, then you have a 4-week period, and there's an 8-week period. It could be longer or shorter depending on if it's a flat or a house. But a year, it shouldn't really be taking a year. Maybe to the whole mortgage as well, that whole process. Maybe finding the right one. Maybe that takes up to a year. I can't talk on their situation. But yeah.
Okay, see.
Literally just made a TikTok about that on mortgages.with Jordan, by the way.